acolo este, va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of, I don't even know what this is, Verde Broadcasting. I'm at the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge and I'm joined today by Jason Fitzpatrick.
Hi.
The boss man here. And we're here to talk about the Black Mirror special Bandersnatch, which we hope you've all seen. Ignore the noises. Because Jason also works as a prop master for films. So for example, you provided a lot of the retro game stuff for Ready Player One.
Yep.
The Spielberg movie come out. There's certain stuff I know Jason's worked on that you can't talk about, but it's kind of high profile. We're trying to show off a little bit.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. The future will tell us.
Yeah, exactly. So some of you might know this centre because Stuart Ashen has done stuff here, Nostalgia Nerd, Octavius Kitten, Larry Bundy's been here, Mr. Biffo. So if you're a gamer, this might be familiar to you. It is a charity, so we do want you to kind of like and share and stuff. This is something local to me that I try and support by turning up every now and then and drinking Jason's tea and just sort of hanging out.
Which we really support, and thank you for.
Oh, thank you very much. So you have just worked, well, Bandersnatch just came out.
Yeah.
Kind of came out of nowhere, kind of surprised a lot of us. It was very kind of retro computer and retro gaming heavy.
Yeah.
And you provided a lot of stuff for that. So how did that come about?
Well, because of the past work that we'd done on various programs and whatever, it's quite a small industry, so people tend to get to know each other. If you do a good job on one particular production, then they'll invite you back on another. So we'd supplied, I think, TVs and things for past episodes of Black Mirror, but that was it. So we supplied them stuff, get it working, and that's it. But then the Maggie, the person that was looking after this set, come back to us and said, look, they've got another one. It's quite a tight time scale. There's a ton of tech in it.
So when was this filmed? When did you provide it?
Not very good at times and dates. Beginning of last, I think it was sort of March, April time last year.
I remember you saying you were working on the new Black Mirror stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was this. Because you couldn't say anything, right?
I couldn't really say much about it, but I mean, I didn't know what it would turn into. I thought it was just going to be another episode of Black Mirror. I don't know if anybody really knew it was going to turn into being a film. So I don't know whether that was something that happened after it was all shot and then turned out, and I was like, hang on, this could be more than that. I don't know. I thought it was just going to be the first episode of the new season.
The new run, yeah. So off the top of my head, so the main character, Stefan, he's working on a ZX Spectrum.
ZX Spectrum. Yeah.
They mentioned Commodore 64
in
there. What else was in there that you provided? I saw
So we had a TRS-80 to the left. So they requested certain machines. So from past research, they said, how is coding done on a Spectrum? And then somebody said, well, actually, I think Jeff Minter, who has a part in it, said, well, you didn't.
Did he? That was Jeff Minter?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Jerome F. Davis.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah. It's utterly cool.
I just saw it, we're being directed by Duncan Casey and his wife Holly's recording sound. They don't know what the fuck we're talking about right now. They have no idea who Jeff Minter is.
Right, so Jeff Minter, legend in retro gaming, goes under the name of Llamasoft, created a load of great games, all Llama
fixated.
And they were really fast, frenzy shoot 'em ups and things like that. Great games.
Yeah.
But it's still kicking around today, gets a lot of love from the retro gaming community, and probably was first port of call when you're thinking of doing a program like this. Going to speak to Jeff. Jeff, what was it like? He probably said that a lot of coding done for the Spectrum may not have been done on the Spectrum because it had a little rubber keyboard and so they did it on a grown-up machine. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. With a proper keyboard and all that kind of thing, and then squirt the program down into the Spectrum to actually test it out. So we had a TRS-80 next to it, which I think either Jeff or somebody else has said that's what they used to do. So what is important is the sheer amount of detail that's gone into this and the accuracy. It wasn't just a case of just put these machines there, it doesn't really matter, which a lot of productions are. It didn't really matter, it's just something in the background. This was important to them. So the dialogue was important, that was technically right. The machines, there was code on the screen that was Z80 code. Not that you got to see that, hey ho, there's things to do. So there was a huge amount of detail, all the little bits and pieces around. So the fuller interface on the back of the Spectrum, so that they wanted a joystick to be there.
Yeah.
It would be easy just to stick a joystick near a Spectrum. Well, that won't work. Spectrum doesn't have a joystick in the face.
Yeah.
Got to put one on there. So all that kind of detail was really important to them. And that's what made it so much
Charlie,
fun to
Charlie
work
Brooker knows, he's
He
always
knows his
defended
stuff.
games, he knows his stuff,
Yeah,
like clearly.
yeah. So he's a journalist back then, and yeah, she knows a huge amount about it.
Yeah.
So the Kempston joystick interface were featured, and they were really important.
It's shut because I'm a nerd, and you know I come here and help out you and whatever, and we do stuff. Like I'm in that audience for it where I think that episode's really enhanced for me by the sort of authenticity of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Weirdos like me going like, hold on a minute, like looking
That's
at
that's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, is that correct? And
Yeah.
all those shots of his room and stuff, it looked really legit, and I knew you worked on
Hopefully.
it already.
Yeah.
Well, it got past me. There's probably someone going like, well, that model wasn't released at that point.
There was a little bit of a worry of that because I didn't actually know the month of each of these scenes.
Right.
I was just told 1984.
Right. Oh, right. Okay.
So Spectrum Plus, fine. Well, actually, Spectrum Plus didn't come out until whatever month, and actually that was going to be in July or something. It was right, I think.
Yeah. It looks like summer. Summer, innit?
Yeah, but they wouldn't put the month on these things. You know, it was January 1984 or whatever. So I thought, oh no, is this right? So I didn't know that to begin with, but I think on set when we started to look at these things and started to get an idea of what the timing was, because it started to say on the script and on the call sheets and stuff, then you make quick decisions about whether that thing's right or not.
Yeah.
I think most
that
of it that's important is right.
How long were you there? How long were you on set?
On and off over a couple of months.
Back to and fro.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously there's scenes in there that haven't got anything to do with it, so you're not there for those.
Right.
But for the ones that had tech in it, which was quite a lot,
Quite a bit, yeah.
yeah, you're there for those, and you're either there on there doing set dressing and everything else, or you're there on standby. Which is tediously boring.
Well, I did some bits for you, didn't I, earlier in the year, doing prop stuff.
Yeah, because
you were doing that.
Yeah,
you were off doing that. But I remember, because we had some of these BBC micros for that job, and you gave me that. They were there, but you gave me a pile of books, and you were like, you make sure the right books are next to the right computer.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see a Spectrum book next to a BBC
Yeah,
micro.
yeah.
And when I got there was a bit of like, and I had to go to the art director like, that's like trying to be cool, just like, actually, that book doesn't belong.
Trying to be cool,
yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen, is it? It's just gone already.
But they do appreciate it because they don't know. It's not their kind of world. That they don't know which book to go with what, and they do appreciate it when you've got that attention to detail that's got their back. You know, because you are going to get torn to shreds. If something like that is that wrong. But Charlie Brooker, the people involved at that level knew what they were doing, and that detail came down to me before, I had a chance. So the Tucker set, I mean, I pretty much dressed all that in terms of computing anyway. Maggie done all the overall stuff, but off my own bat. So it was trying to make up these stories and reasons for these machines to be at certain desks. Yeah. Because there's this line in there saying it's going to be the Motown of the game industry.
Yeah, and he's like, we're going to have a graphics department, we're going to have sound.
So, and part of the direction was to have 2 screens on these computers. And I'm like, well, you didn't do that. A Commodore 64 didn't drive 2 screens. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, let's have an MSX machine. This is all pointless, by the way. You don't get to see any of it. But on one of the front desks, as they walk through, there's an MSX, and there was a TV, a proper TV connected to it on the RF output, and a composite video monitor connected to the composite output. So I'm thinking, so the story behind that is what they're trying to do is make sure the graphics look good on a normal telly, because not everybody at that time had a monitor. They were expensive, you know. So you kind of come up with these stories, these reasons for having 2, because I'm like, well, they wouldn't normally have had 2 screens connected to that computer. So you find these reasons.
But there's a demographic of people that want that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like the Commodore 64, I just watched, I can't remember what season it is, but Halt and Catch Fire, where they have a lot of Commodore 64s, but they've all got 2 1541 drives next to them. And I just thought it looked luscious. They were expensive. Having 2,
yeah, right.
But this was the quote Motown of the games industry. They could afford it. So Commodore 64s, wherever you had them, 2 drives, kind of stealing a little bit from Halt and Catch Fire. But that was just brilliant fun. Just being able to do that, having the time, because you haven't often got time. So to have a few days where you can set up this office, put detail into it and choose what goes with what. So we had the Atari, I had the Dragon at the back, we had Amstrad out there, everything was represented. You get to see none of it. It's a real shame. It's all on Colin's desk with his three.
Yeah, that's the
whatever.
thing, but it is such a good set, because like when, I sort of had skin in the game, so I knew you'd worked on it, but like because there is that opening kind of wide of the office, and I was craning in.
Yeah, but the opening wide, so the opening wide was shot after the detail, because the opening shot is as they're moving in, and he's saying, oh, we're just, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. So that was kind of afterwards, because what we did is we set it up and then took out the machines to make it look like it hadn't been that lived in yet. So we just had all these poles.
Oh, okay, so it's like a staged.
Yeah,
kind
so
of
so you never really got to see the office in the full.
Oh God!
I know. I was gutted.
Well,
but that's the way the story goes. So that's it. It doesn't matter. But you never really do, unless there's some path through this game that I haven't found yet.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I was in it for like 2 hours, but I know people have done it. Done it, which is a weird thing to say about an episode, but someone completed it in 45 minutes, whereas I kept going around and, torturing this poor kid like, in various different ways. Because his home
And that
office
does actually have an effect on him, you know that, don't you?
Yeah, because
he's a real person. That
little tweaks into things he said, and they're sort of like, because when he starts screaming at his TV, I was just like, am I actually torturing some lad, talking to him about Netflix and stuff like that?
Yeah, I hated that at first.
Oh, really?
And then I thought, this, I don't like that. But actually, I kind of got to love it. And the whole fight scene and the...
Well, that's what I was going to say that.
It's actually glorious.
It's really fun,
at first I thought, oh no,
It pays into that sort of thing of reality breaking down. In that it's sort of like you make him throw coffee in her face.
Yeah, it was great. And now because you have got the opportunity to watch it and now I really like it. But at first I was like, what the hell was But actually, it's kind of good fun.
Did you dress the stuff in his bedroom as well?
Yeah, the bedroom. So there was 3 big scenes for Tech, which was Tuckersoft, which was just done. There was Stefan's bedroom, and there was Colin's. Den.
Oh yes, of course, yeah, and his.
So for Colin's den, again, a huge amount of detail in that, and you get to he glances down at it once, and that's it. So you can hardly see, but there's another TRS-80 there. So you've got Colin's desk in Tuckersoft, but then you've got Colin's desk in his den or whatever, and so you've got the same 3 machines, but they're all different. So there's a different type of TRS-80. So I think it's a Model 4. It's a Model 1. We've got back at Tuckersoft. There's a Spectrum, but it's actually in a different keyboard. So DK-Tronics made a keyboard. They give it proper keys. So you put it inside and you did it yourself. So he's got one of them, because I had this kind of image in my head of him. He's a little bit more techie than
he would want to do it properly.
He'd want to mess around with this. And that's connected to a disk drive, which was uncommon. So we had a beta disk interface connected to a disk drive. And he had his Commodore 64, but he's earning the big bucks now. So it wasn't just a Commodore 64. He had the SX64.
Oh yes, he did. The portable one. They clocked that.
So there's all this kind of backstory that I'm building up. It's nothing to do with whatever else was going on.
That's a lot of creative input. Because you're really informing that character by doing that.
Hopefully a little tiny bit.
Because it kind of plays into this niche of the internet where we recognise the portable comic books, but it does. It forms that character. So like you say, it tells us he's making more money. Tells us he's more techie. So your contribution there has built up that.
Hopefully, a little bit.
I think I won't lie to you, mate. It's a very small demographic that would appreciate it.
It's only 7 people, but they appreciate it.
And 2 of them are us, to be fair. But the other 5, they really loved it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad I've affected their lives in some way. But yeah, I mean that is the kind of thing, because obviously you want to do a good job with it. You want to make it look, because the trouble is when you're on set and you look at it, you go, it looks a little bit made up. Because you just made it up.
Yeah.
But when you look at it through the lens of the camera, it's actually that looks all right.
Yeah.
And then and if he is a bit more techie, then again you can't see it, but on the filing cabinet between the 64 and the TRS-80, there's a soldering iron and bits and pieces, just junk you have up on your top shelf out the way, and all these the EPROMs and bits of tech there that kind of just add to that. And then on the other side of the room, again you don't really get to see, but he had his SH-101. Because he likes his music, so he's got and it's synthesized kind of stuff, and so that plays heavily. So we had the SH-101 and the 303, which are 2 absolute classic bits of sort of synthesizer head stuff. That they love that, but I don't know if you get to see them. We had a Mini Moog over the other side and Jupiter 3, and then he's got a ZX80 just up on a stand next to his turntable, just like it's a bit of art, because it would have been old by then.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of Nintendo Game & Watches there.
And this is all provided by.
This is all the
centre.
stuff that we supplied and dressed in to try and make it look realistic. So there's tons of detail there, but I think you get to see a little bit of it, but
yeah, well,
not a great deal.
Thank fuck for HD, because otherwise it'd just be like, what's that? So what did you speak? Was your kind of were you talking with the director about this, or the art director, or
no? So not really. So the set dressers and set designers, which is principally Maggie was the one I was working with most that got us involved in the project. Just said to me, just make that look authentic, because that's just not her sort of stuff, bless her. And she was great because it just allowed me then to do within reason what I wanted and what looked right. And so I certainly I wasn't sort of talking to Charlie every 5 minutes saying, "Oh,
getting on
into this."
Getting it
just
done.
Yeah, and then they're not even there. So you've got this whole office at the top of Croydon 1. It was empty. You just walk in there day one and go, right, we've got to create an office, and nobody else is there apart from set builders, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit.
What are we talking about in terms of volume? I mean, to dress that whole office, you've got a lorry full of stuff.
Yeah, it was a Luton van went down there twice.
Right.
From
one
here,
one time. From here,
so the first time we went to Ely Studios, where it was based, and Colin's scene, Colin's flat was done. So we took it all down there, and David Slade, the director, wanted to see all this sort of stuff so he can go yes and no on all the different things. And so the first day was that, and that was a real rush. We was going to do it 1 week, and they said, "Can we do it tomorrow?" Okay, chuck it on the back of the van, kind of. Take it down there. I said, "Okay, we need it on the top floor of that building." Fantastic. So a couple of props boys come over and helped us lug it all up there, lay it all out on tables. And David was a bit scary at the time. He was no, yes, no, that's not going to work. Yeah. But actually, he was a really, really nice guy. Knew exactly what he wanted, which is great. If you've got somebody who knows what they want, even if they say, "No, that's rubbish," that's fine. At least you know where you stand.
Yeah.
So he was great, but he was sort of saying, "Yes, this is going to work." So the majority of it sort of stayed there and was going to work. I was given sort of lists of sets that were being built and what we would need there. So it was like 3 computers for this. WH Smiths will need 3 machines. But it kind of changes as you go, as you get to know more information about one scene, it impacts on another. So knowing what was going to be at Tucker's sort of studio bit, Tucker's office, that kind of informs then what's going to be in Colin's because you want some kind of thing that says, yes, he can still work at home, or, And then obviously for Stefan's room, that was, he didn't have as much money. So it was the basic Spectrum and a telly.
It's very much his bedroom, isn't it?
Yeah. And the art department done an amazing job of all the graphics up on the wall, that pins up more and more, it goes over the roof.
This is my own area of interest, but they snuck some 2000 ADs in as well.
Oh, there's tons of stuff in there, yeah.
So I was into that. I understand, now apparently, you probably know this already, but you can get that's just that camera packing in, don't worry. Yeah. Director Duncan's on the case. They had the game of Nosedive that Colin's programming, that you've got the poster for there. Yeah. So you get the choice between, what is it, Thompson Twins or something, when he has the 2 tapes. Mm-hmm. You can get a 3rd tape, which is the codes to the game. Yeah. So you record it and then you get Nosedive, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is fucking
it's awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah, knew nothing about that.
Yeah.
So the footage that I got, so we also done the 2 pop-up shops that have happened in Birmingham and London.
Yeah.
So I set up the machines for those as well, and we did this sign-in with Charlie Willen as him. I got a chance to ask Charlie about the graphics, because the video that I was given for playback, at first it looked pretty good, but it did work kind of fast. I thought, this is a bit fast for a specky game. I wasn't quite sure about the colour clash, because that is just the identifying thing for a specky game. I thought, this isn't quite right, so I said about that. And then when I saw the actual game, which they had done way, way later, it looks so much like the original video, which was mocked up.
It was just a video feed when one set, but then now the real game exists. So
exactly. So, but that was all created afterwards, and the game they have now looks so much like the original footage. I'm actually really impressed with that game, because it does run really smooth, and I know it's a line in the film, you got it to go really smoothly. But it's really like it, and actually, you know, the colour clash was spot on.
I think that's another thing that informed the character of Colin, because you know, skillful spectrum programming is avoiding things like colour clash and having smooth graphics.
Can't avoid that.
Well, there is some workarounds. There's some clever. You can.
And
that game looked like it, because a lot of the homebrew stuff that comes out now is like insanely polished. It's like, well, you guys have had 40 years to work on this.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
That game looked. As someone who kind of tediously knows this shit, it looked like a good Spectrum game.
Yeah,
you know?
and it is a good Spectrum game.
Right.
You know, I had a couple of hours to kill before the opening at the London thing. I was sitting there playing it for ages. It's great. It's brutal. It's quite hard, but that's what these games are like.
Named after a prior episode, right?
There's tons of that.
The
Metalhead
and stuff.
Nosedive. There's Pig in a Poke. I don't know whether that actually showed. There was a poster for Pig in a Poke that I haven't seen.
That episode makes me so sad. It's really great television, but it's just really difficult to watch.
It is hard to watch, yeah. An amazing way of starting your series.
Yeah, like the statement of intent. Yeah, it's like, Prime Minister had sex with a pig. Okay, fine.
Yeah, here we go. Get ready.
Strap yourselves in, lads.
It's just absolutely blinded. But yeah, so I think all the posters do hark back.
They're really legit as well.
And there's Tuckersoft. I mean, Tucker has come up a few times in past episodes because I've always been a big fan anyway. So getting a chance to work on this was just awesome.
Yeah, me too. Since the first one.
And Tucker, I think in San Junipero, when at the end, there's something to do with Tucker in that anyway that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, there are, because there's arcades and stuff in that, isn't there?
Yeah, is it Tucker's Arcade or something? I can't remember.
Yeah,
maybe.
Might be.
But I do certainly know at the end of it, when they look at all the racks of servers, where this future heaven you might go and live in, they've all got TCKR on. That's the name of the server. And I've got a feeling there's another episode as well.
Well, there are references to White Rabbit as well.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Oh, there's lots of references.
It connects up.
And people love following all that.
Oh, it's just built for it though, isn't it?
Mental.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
So you got a few bits with you. We'll do some show and tell.
Not a great deal.
Allowed, but some little wee bits.
There's just things that have ended up coming back to us. So when the props were returning, there was a couple of random bits in the cases. So you saw them packing away all the Nosedive games. Ready for shipping, so it was a wash with these little inlays. But so you get to see the cassette going into a box, but art department has to create the entire cassette. You don't get to see that inside part, but they do it. The text is right.
Oh, it's really cool though, because it's got the little Spectrum 48K.
It's all the attention to detail that I love.
Because that. The shop you guys had up in Old Street, it's kind of like, you probably couldn't say it on it, but like in the episode he goes to the old school WH Smiths.
Yeah.
And it's just like the one that used to be in Lion Yard in Cambridge.
Yeah.
With all the Specky games and stuff.
I mean, and that they couldn't hide, because obviously, that was one of the sets was just in the public domain. You can't really hide the fact you've got an old school WH Smiths turn up in, where was it? Can't even remember now. Anyway, where
is it meant to be set? It wasn't really clear. It doesn't matter, does it? Really?
It's obvious because it's in Croydon. Right, okay, so it's in Croydon.
Oh,
and Croydon 1 is the building that it was shot at.
said.
So when they look at the, when he first goes into Tuckersoft, he's standing out and he looks up at Croydon 1.
They do all that brutalist shots of the kind of concrete architecture and stuff, don't they? When they walk on the streets.
That was done at a very famous place that, again, I can't remember any names, but I'm rubbish at it. But anyway, so that was another place that was shot, but which wasn't too far away, which is where they had to throw the body off the thing.
Oh Jesus, that bit.
I wasn't at that, but I was there on the day at the other set, and it was causing a lot of. There was a buzz about it. I think there was a lot of red tape that had to be got through to chuck a body over the side of one of these buildings. Obviously, it wasn't a real body, or was it?
It was me.
It splattered like a real body.
It was me. They did it to me.
That was one of the shockers for me in that. That was.
So was that a practical effect?
Yeah.
Gee,
wasn't there, but yeah, from what I understand,
I just assumed it was. It's horrible.
They did chuck him.
It just kind of stops and it.
I know it's.
I just assumed it was computers.
No. Well, I don't know how much of it was done afterwards. A little bit of embellishment. But as far as I'm aware, and from what I heard on set at the time, it was a full-sized thing.
Oh man, like a Beastie Boys video.
Yeah. But it's so. But I know that was causing. There was a lot of chatter around going, they're not letting us do this. This is whatever. So. But obviously it did happen, and very effectively.
It's a very memorable part of the whole.
But that was Colin's. Although Colin's bedroom for the internal scenes was done at Ealing, those shots were done at this other place. I can't remember the name of the place, which is really annoying me. I think Blur have done videos there and stuff. It's really well known estate in London. Anyway, so yeah, the things like that were real as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Not quite my area of it.
It's an odd one, Black Mirror, because it's either super kind of grounded, or it's all the way up there.
Yeah.
It's like USS Callister it's Star Trek.
Yeah.
And they even shoot it in 4x3
Yeah.
and stuff. But then, you know, like the what's the actual name of the Prime Minister one? I can't remember. First episode. It's kind of a political thriller thing, really.
Yeah,
it's very grounded and
remember
realistic. It's called, I can't remember. Everybody knows it's the bit of TV where the man fucked the pig. But, you know, bluntly. But I can't remember. But it's cool, but that's very kind of low key. A lot of them are very low key, but then like San Junipero has all these time periods and does all this kind of high profile stuff. Yeah. And this one was quite low key as well, which kind of plays into what you contributed.
Yeah, it's like Nosedive. It's very stylised, the way that it's shot, very kind of futuristic.
Yeah, so that near future.
And I love all that. I think there's really interesting points being made. I mean, people just watch it and they wash over them. But there is some serious comment made on society.
I'm getting a bit annoyed with people online sort of going like, oh, they've got nothing to say other than mobile phones are bad. And it's like, watch it again, watch it properly, because there's a lot more going on and stuff. Because it's something like Metalhead. Yeah. You know, it's essentially, Toby, who often does stuff with us, he made a good point. And it's shot in black and white, but it's essentially a zombie movie in essence, in the way it functions. But it's saying things about DARPA and the Big Dog Project and kind of ambulant robots and war machines and stuff like that. It's all there. And, you know, then it's got a whole thing about kind of motherhood and stuff like that. Yeah. But, you know, if you want to watch it as a lady being chased by a robot, you can. You know, but it's got its whole...
No, it's got way more to say than that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and all the stuff about kind of AI and copying personalities and downloading people. Because some of the stuff in it is just like the Black Museum. It's horrible, what's being said, and you know, and it's not outside the realm of possibility in terms of speculative fiction.
And complete history of me. I mean, okay, the technology is probably a little bit, like I said, but you know, what if? You know? And there's going to be some other form of this, and I can't remember the name of the one where her husband dies.
With Hayley Atwell and.
I can't remember the actor's name.
Who's Mr. Irish guy, son of other Irish guy? What's in Star Wars?
Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
And Hayley Atwell,
You know, and that you look at it and you think, well, some of that's kind of vaguely feasible. You know, I could imagine an app coming out that scrapes the net for traces of you and the way that you
the way that
put
begins,
things, and so you can text it. That seems vaguely feasible.
It's just text, isn't it? Yeah. And it's text in the style of your deceased loved one, because that's not a million miles. The jumping off point for that, we basically already have that.
It's,
you know,
kind of.
When you sit around talking about trainers and you go on your phone and it's suddenly like, would you like to buy some trainers? Like, get the fuck away from me. You've been watching what I'm doing. And stuff like that. So it's not.
But it's the idea of scraping somebody's personality from the net. Yeah. I mean, at the first level of just talking to somebody on an app, I think maybe, possibly, you could get the nuances of how they say things. It goes on a little bit and extrapolates from there. But actually, you know,
I think the jumping off point is completely feasible. Yeah. I think if someone
and that's what gets you thinking about, and it's more about sort of moral computing. Yeah. Okay, if we can do it, that's one thing, but should we do it?
Should you?
You know, because you can see this doesn't end up well. You know.
I think that's what separates it from things like The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits in terms of anthology, because it's about speculation on modern concerns, and it comes through really, 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 really well.
It does. I absolutely love it, and it pretty much never fails for me to at some point in that program go, oh hell, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, you know, and I love that, because there's not a lot of telly that can catch you out, and you can't go, actually, I can see where this is going, but it completely turns things around. You know, Metalhead at the end, I'm just like, oh hell, this was all over that, you know. Yeah. Oh, that makes you take a breath, you know, and you know, it's so brilliantly shot, and the story unfolds in a way, you know, at a pace that you might think, well, you know.
And that one in particular as well, just the way it's shot, black and white, and kind of really stark and everything.
Yeah,
you know.
It takes balls to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, kids don't want to watch black and white films. You know, and Max, my son, when he was little, said to me, he wanted to watch something that was way beyond his age. So can we watch like Terminator? Right. Can we watch Terminator? No, not until you're 18. It's an 18, you know. I go, oh, I'll be black and white by then. He's like, what? He kind of just assumes that these things go black and white over time.
That's awesome.
You know, and so, you know, so to choose to do that, you know, it takes some guts. It was brilliant.
I'll give a quick shout out to Max, because I know he subscribes. So, how you doing?
He ain't going to appreciate that.
We just laughed you a little bit. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, that's going to need to be cut out. But you know, so that takes some guts to actually do a program. You know, a program like that in black and white. I mean, it's a statement. You know, it worked brilliantly. But yeah, it's great to be involved in something, especially when you're doing something you have got like.
Well, this is something that's really caught fire, I think. I mean, regardless of whether you liked it or not, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. And I think, in my particular place, it's something that I'm really into that era of computing and stuff. And I grew up in Cambridge, which is a really big home of British computing.
Spectrum was developed in Cambridge?
Yeah, exactly. And the old BBC and Acorn used to be down the road from my school. And some of these, I believe, came from my school, or at least some of your stock did.
Right.
I know we're at the Neverhall School.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. A load of stuff from Neverhall School.
Yeah. So a load of the stuff that was in my school that I used to work on is here. So, we're really well placed for it. I just wondered if, could you tell us, I really just wanted to sort of promote the museum a bit, because you're a charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we run, you run this as a resource for people to come and see. We're currently, it's on an industrial estate in Cambridge at the moment.
Yep.
So we're away from all the sort of King's College and all that.
Yeah, it's not anywhere you'd find easily.
It's not something you find easily. Like I said, a lot of gaming YouTubers come here, and I see a lot. I mean, I've been here for events with you, and those guys have been around. I come and helped you shoot a thing with John Romero, co-creator of Doom.
Yep.
A while ago, I've done a few bits for you, but I've seen Stuart Ashen here, and again, Octavius here, and all these people. So people do make the pilgrimage here.
Yeah.
Because you've got this amazing stock of stuff. I mean, if you are a gamer, like in terms of, it's not just Super Nintendo. I mean, it goes deep. We did a video about FM Towns Marty a while back and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, would you mind just to talk a bit about what you do here? And
so, I mean, in terms of the museum, like I say, charity. It's run by an amazing team of volunteers, small team of staff. That's grown up over the last sort of 5 years. We've been in Cambridge for about 5 years now. And there is a huge amount of heart that's gone into creating something that actually that we want. It doesn't come from a museum's world. It doesn't come from a university world. It comes from the people whose lives it completely and utterly changed, irreversibly so. Right. So, these are a lot of, I suppose, 40-somethings and younger as well, because, retro gaming's big. It plays a lot on gaming, but it's about computing. So this is a technology that, like I say, has changed our lives. I don't think really anything has changed our lives in the way that computing has. In such a short space of time.
It's changed our city as well. I mean, I can't state enough how important it is to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This small part of the world.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's a big piece of history there that we're trying to represent, and look at how computers have got smaller, cheaper, and more powerful. Right, that's the whole thing in a nutshell. But to me, as somebody that would want to go to somewhere like this, if it was like the old school museums used to be, a lot of changing now, but they would be glass cases with a machine in it with a little bit of text telling you about it, which wasn't going to do it for me. So we had to create somewhere that was hands-on, that gives you the ability to type in code and see what it does, that gives you the ability to play some of those games that you either remember or you've never seen before in your life. And that's what we've got. So, there's a big display area out there with lots of the games consoles going back to sort of 75 through to modern day. We've got the PlayStation 4 and PSVR out there as well. So you can see that entire history, the entire history of me. The entire history of gaming, right there in front of you. You can see all this stuff change. So how the games have got better, how they've got better graphics, better sound, more of everything, and actually kind of how they start to cross over with film. It's getting to this point now where games and film industry are quite interlinked. So there's that side of it, and then there's the computing side, which is about the electronics that goes into these things. We do workshops, getting kids, or anybody really, building computers, literally. And I don't mean just assembling something, I mean soldering components together, getting programming. It's something that people think is kind of nerdy, but it isn't. It's really nice when you look on TripAdvisor.
It's coming to the mainstream now.
Well,
It's not like it
there
used
is
to be.
that, but it's also, who hasn't been affected by computers over the past 30, 40 years? It's changed all of our lives. If you hate them, come and have a look at all these things that you hate and tell us why. If you love them, do the same and just drool over them or whatever.
Yeah.
But everybody's got something to say about them. That's what's important. And that's where it came from. I had a few of these machines at work around the office. And whoever came in, I just had it up there as art, a Spectrum on the shelf, laid out, a bit like Colin's flat, with his ZX80. And people would come in and rather than talk business, they would go, oh, I used to have one of them, or my dad had one, or whatever. And everybody had an interest. So it kind of grew from that. So we're trying to make sure that the people don't think that this is something that's a real geeky day out. You can make it a geeky day out if you want.
Yeah.
We've got a huge archive, tens of thousands of items in it. But at the end of the day, it's like a really good family day out.
Yeah.
And this technology is kind of responsible for, I wouldn't say splitting families apart, but so watching Bandersnatch, I'm on my phone go, God, I've just done this, have you seen that, the rest of the family are there, but you're talking to other people. So this kind of technology does split you up a little bit, and we've done a couple of documentaries about that, back in time kind of documentaries, but also this place kind of uses that same technology to bring people together. So kids get a chance to speak to their parents, how did you meet, If you wanted to phone mum, how did you do that? You didn't have a mobile phone. Could you send texts? No, couldn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Like to walk up to a girl and say, hello, do you want a drink? Or
Can you imagine?
I like you. Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine? Kids can't imagine it.
Yeah.
So the whole world has changed in that way. And this is a chance for people to come and talk about that technology. And it's got everything from the computers to the games consoles through to the mobile phones, the big brick ones that...
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly like you say, it's very tactile. It's not just a bunch of glass boxes.
No.
You come and play and everything. You do special evenings and stuff like retro gaming nights and
retro gaming nights are big.
Yeah, those are good. There's often a bar and a bit of food and you come and hang out and play whatever. And often I've been standing around and there's been like a family come in and like the mum or dad's gone like, do you have Zool 2 for this? And then you guys will go up and get it and plug it in and whatever. It's like, even if it's a rubbish game, it's like, we got it though, you can play it.
You can either see how bad it was or see how actually good it was, whatever.
I was here, I can't remember what it was, I was here when Adrian was helping someone out and they were like, oh, I need such and such a game, and he was like, oh yeah, this one, and they were like, yeah, I really hated it, but I just want to remember if it's exactly...
if it's as bad as I remember.
And he was like, yep, no worries, got it, and they were like, yeah, this stinks. Thanks very much. It's exactly like I remember.
Yeah.
Can I have something good now?
We've done terrible games nights and all sorts of stuff, based on Ashen's book and.
Oh yeah, of course,
yeah. I mean, they're just talking points, and so many people are into that kind of history of gaming, and there's a lot to take from it as well. But it does inform people today about what makes a good game. Having a good game with the best graphics and best sound doesn't make a good game. It's got to have a decent plot. It's got to have an objective to it. Blah blah blah. So and there's been some fantastic games created with 48K memory. So it that shows that it isn't about.
And they're still doing them. Things like the new Nosedive game and the homebrew spec. People still have it.
The Nosedive game is absolute.
I need to check it out because they look really good.
Well, we're gonna have it here. We're gonna do a little Bandersnatch display, not just of some of the backstory to it, because it's based on those create your own adventure books. So we've got a few of those, and then the early adventure games. So a little bit along those lines, but you will be able to play.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll come and do that then, because I wanted to give that a crack. I've not got any Spectrum hardware or software at the moment.
Yeah, no, you can download it and put it in an emulator, but we're going to do it for real.
Do it legit.
Proper
You're going to dub it onto a tape? That would be really good. If you
Let's just say yes.
Just say yes. Yeah, nobody needs to know any different. Well, I think that's it, mate.
All right.
I think that's it. And a good old chat. Thanks very much for inviting us over and letting us have this
pleasure.
chat. Like I say, Museum of Computer History, it's in Cambridge, not central Cambridge, but it is in the city. And if you are in that London, it's only 45 odd minutes from King's Cross. Get on a bus, get in a taxi, come over here, come see these guys, come and game it up for the afternoon. Great day out. And yeah, thanks very much. We'll see you again. Cheers, Jason. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Valverde shop.